Chapter 7. My slumbers are filled with disturbing dreams. The face of the red-headed girl intertwines with the gory images from earlier Hunger Games, with my mother withdrawn and unreachable, with Prim emaciated and terrified. I bolt up, screaming for my father to run as the mine explodes into a million deadly bits of light. Dawn is breaking through the windows. The Capitol has a misty, haunted air. My head aches, and I must have bitten into the side of my cheek in the night. My tongue probes the ragged flesh, and I taste blood. Slowly, I drag myself out of bed and into the shower. I arbitrarily punch buttons on the control board and end up hopping from foot to foot as alternating jets of icy cold and steaming hot water assault me. Then I'm deluged in lemony foam, and I have to scrape off with heavy bristled brush. Oh well, at least my blood is flowing. When I'm dried and moisturized with lotion, I find an outfit that has been left for me out of the front closet. Tight black pants, a long-sleeved burgundy tunic, and leather shoes. I put my hair in a single braid down my back. This is the first time since the morning of the reaping that I resemble myself. No fancy hair and clothes, no flaming capes, just me looking like I could be headed for the woods. It calms me. Hamish didn't give us an exact time to meet for breakfast, and no one has contacted me this morning, but I'm hungry, so I head down to the dining room, hoping there will be food. I'm not disappointed. While the table is empty, a long board off the side has been laid with at least 20 dishes. A young man, an Avox, stands at attention by the spread. When I ask if I can serve myself, he nods assent. I load a plate with eggs, sausages, batter cakes covered in thick orange preserves, slices of pale purple melon. As I gorge myself, I watch the sun rise over the Capitol. I have a second plate of hot grains smothered in beef stew. Finally, I fill a plate with rolls and sit at the table, breaking off bits and dipping them into hot chocolate, the way Peeta did on the train. My mind wanders to my mother and Prim. They must be up. My mother getting the breakfast of mush. Prim milking the goat before school. Just 2 mornings ago I was home. Can that be right? Yes, just 2. And now how empty the house feels, even from a distance. What did they say last night about my fiery debut at the games? Did it give them hope, or simply add to their terror when they saw the reality of 24 tributes circled together, knowing only one could live? Hamish and Peeta come in, bid me good morning, fill their plates. It makes me irritated that Peeta is wearing the exact same outfit as I am. I need to say something to Cinna. This twins act is going to blow up in our faces once the games begin. Surely they must know this. Then I remember Hamish telling me to do exactly what the stylists tell me to do. If it was anyone but Cinna, I might be tempted to ignore him. But after last night's triumph, I don't have a lot of room to criticize his choices. I'm nervous about the training. There will be 3 days in which all the tributes practice together. On the last afternoon, we'll each get a chance to perform in a private before the game makers. The thought of meeting the other tributes face to face makes me queasy. I turn the roll I have just taken from the basket over and over in my hands, but my appetite is gone. When Hamish has finished several platters of stew, he pushes back his plate with a sigh. He takes a flask from his pocket and takes a long pull on it and leans his elbows on the table. So, let's get down to business. Training first off. If you like, I'll coach you separately. Decide now. Why would you coach us separately, I ask. Say if you had a secret skill you might not want the other to know about, says Hamish. I exchange a look with Peeta. I don't have any secret skills, he says. And I already know what yours is, right? I mean, I've eaten enough of your squirrels. I never thought about Peeta eating the squirrels I shot. Somehow I always pictured the baker quietly going off and frying them up for himself. Not out of greed, but because town families usually eat expensive butcher meat. Beef and chicken and horse. You can coach us together, I tell Hamish. Peeta nods. All right, so give me some idea of what you can do, says Hamish. I can't do anything, says Peeta, unless you count baking bread. Sorry, I don't, Katniss. I already know you're handy with a knife, says Hamish. Not really, but I can hunt, I say, with a bow and arrow. And you're good? asks Hamish. I have to think about it. I've been putting food on the table for years, for 4 years. That's no small task. I'm not as good as my father was, but he had more practice. I've better aim than Gale, but I've had more practice. He's a genius with traps and snares. I'm all right, I say. She's excellent, says Peeta. My father buys her squirrels. He always comments on how the arrows never pierce the body. She hits everyone in the eye. It's the same with the rabbits she sells the butcher. She can even bring down deer. This assessment of my skills from Peeta takes me totally by surprise. First, that he ever noticed. Second, that he's talking me up. What are you doing? I ask him suspiciously. What are you doing? If he's going to help you, he has to know what you're capable of. Don't underrate yourself, says Peeta. I don't know why, but this rubs me the wrong way. What about you? I've seen you in the market. You can lift 100-pound bags of flour, I snap at him. Tell him that. That's not nothing. Yes, and I'm sure that the arena will be full of bags of flour for me to chuck at people. It's not like being able to use a weapon. You know it isn't, he shoots back. He can wrestle, I tell Hamish. He came second at our school competition last year, only after his brother. What use is that? How many times have you seen someone wrestle someone to death? Says Peeta in disgust. There's always hand-to-hand combat. All you need is to come up with a knife, and you'll at least stand a chance. If I get jumped, I'm dead. I can hear my voice rising in anger. But you won't. You'll be living up in some tree eating raw squirrels and picking off people with arrows. You know what my mother said to me when she came to say goodbye, as if to cheer me up? She said, maybe District 12 will finally have a winner. Then I realized she didn't mean me. She meant you, burst out Peeta. Oh, she meant you, I say with a wave of dismissal. She said, she's a survivor, that one. She is, says Peeta. That pulls me up short. Did his mother really say that about me? Did she rate me over her son? I see the pain in Peeta's eyes, and I know he isn't lying. Suddenly, I'm behind the bakery, and I can feel the chill of the rain running down my back, the hollowness in my belly. I sound 11 years old when I speak, but only because someone helped me. Peeta's eyes flicker down to the roll in my hand, and I know he remembers that day too, but he just shrugs. People will help you in the arena. They'll be tripping over each other to sponsor you. No more than you, I say. Peeta rolls his eyes at Hamish. She has no idea the effect she can have. He runs his fingernail along the wood grain in the table, refusing to look at me. What on earth does he mean, people help me? When we were dying of starvation, no one helped me. No one except Peeta. Once I had something to barter with. Things changed. I'm a tough trader, or am I? What effect do I have? That I'm weak and needy? Is he suggesting that I got good deals because people pitied me? I try to think of this as true. Perhaps some of the merchants were a little generous in their trades, but I always attributed that to their long-standing relationship with my father. Besides, my game is first class. No one pitied me. I glower at the roll. Sure, he meant to insult me. After about a minute of this, Hamish says, well then, well. Katniss, there's no guarantee there will be bows and arrows in the arena, but during your private session with the game makers, show them what you can do. Until then, stay clear of archery. Are you any good at trapping? I know a few basic snares, I mutter. That may be significant in terms of food, says Hamish. And Peeta, she's right. Never underestimate strength in the arena. Very often, physical power tilts the advantage to a player. In the training center, they will have weights, but don't reveal how much you can lift in front of the other tributes. The plan's the same for both of you. You go to group training, spend time trying to learn something you don't know. Throw a spear, swing a mace, learn to tie a decent knot. Save showing what you're best at until your private sessions. Are we clear? Says Hamish. Peeta and I nod. One last thing. In public, I want you to be by each other's side every minute, says Hamish. We both start to object, but Hamish slams his hand down on the table. Every minute. It's not open for discussion. You agreed to do as I said. You will be together. You will appear to be amiable to each other. Now get out. Meet Effie at the elevator at 10 for training. I bite my lip and stalk back to my room, making sure Peta can hear the door slam. I sit on the bed hating Haymitch, hating Peta, hating myself for mentioning that day long ago in the rain. It's such a joke, Peta and I going along pretending to be friends, talking up each other's strengths, insisting the others take credit for their abilities. Because in fact, at some point, we're going to have to knock it off and accept that we're bitter adversaries. Which I'd be prepared to do right now if it wasn't for Haymitch's stupid instruction that we stick together in training. It's my own fault, I guess, for telling him that he didn't have to coach us separately. But that didn't mean I wanted to do everything with Peta, who, by the way, clearly doesn't want to be partnering up with me. I hear Peta's voice in my head. She has no idea the effect she can have. Obviously meant to demean me, right? But a tiny part of me wonders if this was a compliment, that he meant I was appealing in some way. It's weird how much he's noticed me, like the attention he's paid to my hunting. And apparently I have not been as oblivious to him as I had imagined either. The flower, the wrestling. I have kept track of the boy with the bread.